Hi again, everyone. Okay, in the last video, we made it so that the sign up and sign in form create users on the back end. Now what we need to do is we need to make sure that when someone signs up or when someone signs in, that this page is redirected to what you see when you are actually signed into the app, which is a to-do list creator. So we need to do a few things to set that up. First, we need to actually create the page that the user is taken to once they finish filling out one of these forms. As a shortcut to making the list page, I'm going to copy this home page. So Control C, Control V. Okay, now I've got home copy. I'll rename it list. All right, let's call this list. Let's change it down here to list. Let's leave the handle change function for now. We can write list page mounted. Handle sign up we can get rid of because there's not going to be any signing up happening on the list page. Handle sign in we can get rid of. Okay. Ion page we need to keep. Ion content we need to keep. We'll keep this interior div, but we will erase everything inside of the interior div so that it just looks like this. Okay, so when the user logs in, we know that this is triggered, right? On auth state changed. But this alone will not, this being triggered alone will not take us to the list page. So what I want to do is when this is triggered, I want there to be a state update here, which then, whenever the state is updated, this render function runs, which is then going to re-render my home page. And then I want my home page to realize that re-rendering is happening. Check to make sure that that the login is successful. And if it is, I want the home page to redirect to the list page. So this is how we do it. Once the user is logged in, we'll do a this.set state. Now, I already have something here for user data, but user data is actually different than just the user credential. The user credential is used for authentication, but user data, I have it here for when we start interacting with the database, which we haven't actually done yet. So instead, I'm going to create something new up here in the state called, I will call it Firebase user. And I'll set it to an empty object for now. And when the user is logged in, Firebase user is going to hold this thing that's being passed down from on auth state changed. And I will also change logged in to true. Now, while I'm at it, I might as well write here. I'm gonna comment out this also. Okay. While I'm at it, I might as well here take the same thing, put it. This is when you're logging. This is when you've logged out. Set Firebase user back to empty and changed logged into false. Great. Okay. So now the state of the app is being altered now whenever someone logs in and logs out. Okay, I'm getting an error message here. It says it doesn't know what this is referring to. The reason I'm getting this error message is because I didn't use a special syntax up here that I need to use in order to make sure that this is referring to the right thing. I will always want, whenever I use this in class-based components in React, I want it to always be referring to the class that I'm in. So right now I'm in the kind of the master class, the app component. I want it to refer to that. And if I use this syntax, this function, it's now referring to this as the function, and I don't want it to do that. So one thing you just have to get in the habit of when you're coding in React is using the arrow syntax like this. When you use the arrow syntax, then this doesn't refer to this function. It refers to like what came before it. So that should fix it. Nope, still not working. Cannot find name user. There's still a problem. Oops, because I didn't put the user in here. There we go. There we go. Okay, so I've got this app state. I need to make sure that this app state is being passed down to my components. So the way I do that, I don't know if other developers do it this way, but I like to make a prop called app state. And in app state, I like to pass this dot state down to my components. So I'm passing that to the home component. I haven't yet made a route for my list component. So why don't I take care of that now? This is going to be list. And make this a little easier to read here. Again, this route is not really that important, but I'm leaving it here for now. List has to be imported up here. So I'm going to go up here. It's in the same folder as home. Okay, that takes care of that. Both are getting app state passed down to them, which just means that this entire object is being passed down. If I want to test list to make sure it works, let's see if it works. Yep, list works. Nothing there, but okay. When this is logged in true, it will be passed down to home through app state, which means that home needs a way of knowing that it's time to redirect itself to list when the app is logged in. So to do that, we're going to create another return, like conditional return statements. So now in order to refer to something being passed down as a prop, you can't just say app state. You have to say this dot props, meaning the props being passed down, and then say app state, and then refer to the property on app state as logged in. So if that's true, we're going to do this: return a redirect. This redirect is a React component that is designed just for redirection. But we have to add it up here on the top. In order to add it on the top, we need to type import redirect from and import redirect from react-router-dom. We don't get redirect from the same place we get component. We get it from this other module, react-router-dom. Not sure why it's in a separate place, but it is. Okay, so that's gonna do the redirect. But if we haven't just logged in, then we still need the old stuff. So I'm gonna do an else. Okay, and then I can just take all of this. Let me make sure my brackets are making sense. Paste that in there. Clean it up. It should work. Good. All right, so this says if we're logged in, don't stay here, go to the list page. Otherwise, just load this component as normal. Okay, let's test it out. It works. I've been redirected to the list page. Awesome. Let's see if have a new user here. I do. Great. All right. I'm going to, now let's see. Now I'm logged in. I wonder what happens if I go like this. Ah, see, it won't even let me because it knows I'm logged in. It's redirecting right away. It's not show. It's showing me, it's showing it there for a second, which we'll take care of. But you can see it knows it's logged in, so it knows to redirect. All right, let's delete this user. And let's refresh. Oops. And let's go back here. Okay, great. All right, let's build the list page now. Okay, this is what I want. I want it to say welcome. And eventually it's going to say your first and last name. But right now, I'll just put that. Welcome. Then I'll have a few break lines. You know what? Also, I'm going to make sure that everything is centered on this page. Or at least I'm going to make sure that the welcome message is centered. So I'm going to do like that. All right, so this says welcome, break line, add item. There's going to be a place to add an item here. So for that, I will put another input. All right, this says input on change, handles change. Remember, I left the handle change there because I will need to handle input changes on this page. So this is handle change, type text. I gave it an ID and value this.state.item to add. Why don't we make sure that the state, oh, look, I haven't updated the state here. Yikes, the state is wrong. Let's make sure that it has an item here called item to add, just an empty string. All right. So this is an input with item to add and a value, which is the value that it gets from the state. Great. Then why don't we do this? This says there's a button on click handle add. All right, I haven't made the handle add function yet, so I'll just make an empty function up here. Handle add. All right, it won't actually do anything right now. All right. Cool. All right, what else do we need? All righty, so that will be the end of the centered part, and then below down here will be the actual list. So here we've got a couple more break lines. We've got some span, your to-do list. Okay, I'm just going to put the word list here really big right now because we don't have a list to actually put there. Well, we don't want that. And we'll put a couple more break lines. And let's do a button, very bottom, that lets you sign out. So button on click this handle sign out. Let's just make an empty function up here for now that does that. Handle sign out. Great. All right, let's see if we broke anything. Great. So welcome blank blank, add item, add your to-do list, sign out. Beautiful. And this logs add and this logs sign out. Great. All right. Now I've got one weird thing that's happening here, which you saw before. If I try to go to home while I'm logged in, it kind of flashes it there for a second. Did you see how it flashed it there for a second? That's not really a good user experience. We don't want that. The reason it's doing that is because it takes a second for this on auth state change to realize whether or not an authenticated user is using the app or not. Up until this has finished its work, our logged in state is null. It's neither true nor false. It just doesn't know. So to keep that from happening, let's go to the home page. before it checks whether or not you're logged in, let's do a if this.props.appstate.logged equals null. We can just return either an empty div or you can return something that says loading. I actually prefer just an empty div for this. An empty div. And then this needs to be an else if. So first it's going to check if it's null. If it's null, it's going to load this. Then on auth state change will finish, which will cause this to re-render, which will then make it skip this and go either here or here. Let's try it. Let's see if that works. Yep, I think it worked, right? Because now I don't see that. I don't see that flashing. I don't see that whole homepage flashing anymore. Great. Let's do something to the list page. Let's do something similar to the list page. In general, it's good to have things like this. We can basically copy the same thing on the list page. If it's null, return an empty div. So now, okay, you can't actually see it, but oh well, this is working, but I didn't use good syntax here. Okay. So you can't actually see it, but it's actually flashing. Maybe I can type something here. See if you can see it or not. Oh, yeah, I see it. I saw it there for a second, right? So as for that like split second, when logged in is null, I'm seeing loading, but I'd rather just see an empty div. Great. And we're let's also add this to the list page because eventually we are going to be on the list page and we're going to be logging ourselves out. So if logged in equals false, we should redirect, which we haven't imported onto this page yet. I'll just grab it from the home. If you're logged out, you should go back to the home, right? There. Okay, so I don't have a sign out yet, but eventually if I sign out, it's going to change the auth, which will change the logged in, which will redirect the list page to the home page. Awesome. All right. In the next video, we're going to start actually populating this list page, which means we're going to have to connect to the database. And we'll also have something to populate here with first and last name. So stay tuned.